Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Resident Evil, the 2002 movie. So this movie is based off a very popular Japanese video game with the same title. I remember, like, a lot of people don't particularly like these movies. It's an entire franchise. And I don't blame them to a certain, I don't blame them, you know what I'm saying, for a certain extent. However, when it comes to the Resident Evil movies, the ones that I prefer are the first three. I think they're really good. Resident Evil is what got me into zombie movies. At the time when I first watched these movies, I had no idea, but the first one, I had like no idea it was even based off a video game. I didn't find that out until after I got through watching the movie and I got on the internet and I started like wondering what the heck a Resident Evil is. And so like back then, I don't even think Wikipedia was out at that time. So I had to go on whatever site. And so I remember when I was researching it, I got very confused because I assumed that Alice was Jill Valentine, just some type of amalgamation of her. Even her outfit was somewhat similar to her and stuff. But then, of course, as we all know, Jill Valentine actually did show up in the second, and I think fourth movie or fifth movie. I can't remember which one. And so when it comes to these movies, like I said before, I only like the first three. I think everything after the fourth movie and whatever the last one is, I absolutely hate and think are garbage. And for the most part, fans just literally hate these movies because of the first couple of installments. It really didn't have anything to do with the video game. They made their own story up. Paul W.S. Anderson is the one who came up with a script and directed the first two movies, or at least the first one I know for sure. After that, he just took up a producing role. He included his wife, Mila Jovovich, into the protagonist lead role as Alice, or Project Alice, or whatever you want to call her. A lot of fans don't like Alice and stuff because she's not from the video game. I don't mind her because, like I said, these movies were the first thing I ever seen. I still have never played the video game because I don't play video games, but I have researched and stuff like that. One thing that these movies lack is depth and character development and story. They just kind of lag along and chop stuff up and just throw it in the mix. And, but when it came to that, the second movie, they started introducing elements more of that of the video game and characters. They introduced the stars. They introduced Jill Valentine. And then as each movie kept going, they kept introducing more characters from the video games and had them dressing in their iconic looking outfits, which sometimes didn't make absolutely no sense within the continuity of this movie franchise. Like when they introduced Alice Wong and everything, I was just like, why in the world is she wearing her signature red dress when the world is pretty much all dead and there's a couple of people living underground, but not that many. And it just made absolutely no sense. And so when it came to the movie franchise, I didn't even know about Leon and stuff. And I didn't know about him until I watched the first Resident Evil CGI movie. I love that movie. Leon is just like so cool and stuff, but I did not like and care for his live action counterpart. It just didn't look or feel like him and stuff. Nah. And stuff. But like when they kept introducing like more characters, and especially characters from the video games, it was kind of weird because like they would appear like say on one movie, and maybe they'll appear in like another one back to back. But then after that, they would disappear and they would introduce more people. Like Claire Redfield, like she was introduced in the third, completely different than how she acts in the game. In the movie, she was more hard-nosed, and then she appeared in the fourth one. But then all of a sudden, she disappears and then reappears in like the last movie and stuff. There's no mention of her brother or nothing like that. When the movies kept going more and more towards the end, They couldn't even keep up with their own continuity. I absolutely hate the last movie. The last movie, in my opinion, is garbage. Like, you have Wesker, and it's kind of like first he's good, then he's bad, then he's good again, then he's bad again, then he's good again. It's like, make up your mind. Then at one point they took away Alice's powers and then they gave them back. And that made absolutely no sense. And then it's kind of like, okay, well, where your powers at now? Because you're fighting all these monsters and you ain't got them, but they gave it back to you at the end of the last movie. And then at the end of one movie, we see like a bunch of like monsters flying around the world, look dead. But then we go into the next movie and she supposedly have her powers. Now all of a sudden she don't. And where was those monsters at before? And why was Wesker living in the White House and stuff? All this stuff has never been like explained. They always retcon things with the next installment of the movies. The whole Alice like subplot is like so confusing because first they had a tie-in comic and then a tie-in novel, and then they decided, let's screw that and let's give her a new backstory for like the movies and a new name. And then when they get to the complete last movie, she has a completely different backstory than what was established in the previous movies. And it's almost like they lost their minds. They literally had no idea what they was doing when they got towards the end of the franchise. So I was very happy when the last movie, I think it was called like Final Chapter, was the last one. But now they have decided they're gonna create more movies in theaters and stuff. Whether Alice will be there or not, who knows? But then Netflix decided they're gonna acquire the rights to Resident Evil, and they've made their own. I've already talked about the CGI show that they created, which is garbage. Go watch that. And then they created like another movie and another live action television show for Netflix. I have not watched those. I'm too scared to watch those. Not scared as horror, but scared as in they're gonna screw it up. And apparently they did screw it up because the television show got canceled after one season. The movie, from what I hear, was atrocious and everything. And it's like they literally have no idea what they're doing. However, love or hate this franchise, it is the most successful like video game franchise of all time. But you know, video game adaptations into live action still have not done well and everything. I remember when it came to this movie, it came out my second year of college and stuff. And so I remember I was at like Target with a friend of mine and she saw the DVD. We was in the DVD section and she saw the Resident Evil movie and she pointed, she's all like, that's a really good movie. You're gonna like this. I had never seen it before. I've only seen the trailers, but I was very fascinated with that of the trailer. Like, all the trailer showed was Alice running on the wall and drop kicking that one zombie dog. I thought that was so cool. Then you have the Red Queen talking about you all gonna die down here. I didn't know what these movies were about. I assumed they were some type of sci-fi, maybe monstrous type of thing. I had no idea zombies were even in the mix. So I took a chance, a leap of faith, and I bought the DVD. It was the very first DVD I've ever owned. I was somewhat screwed because since it was the first DVD I owned, I did not have a DVD player. But back in those days of 2002, when you buy computers, they came with a disk drive. And it also came with a CD-ROM and slash like DVD drive, and so I was able to watch it. And I remember for the first year or so of having DVDs, I had to watch them on the computer and stuff. It was kind of weird, but whatever. My friends would come over and we were just watching on my computer. I had this one friend, female, who's bisexual. She was in love with Mila. I had never seen Mila before. I never saw The Fifth Element. And so this is my first introduction into her. And so when my friend came over who was bisexual, the part where Mila gets nude in the movie, she kept making me pause that scene and rewind over and over and over again. I'm all like, wow. And they say men are horny. But after a while, and that computer broke and tore up and everything, because it's one of those old fashioned one with the big towers and gigantic monitors. and stuff, I decided, you know what, I just might as well buy a DVD player because VHS was just going out of style at that time. And, I remember I saw the second movie in theaters. I think I saw the third and the fourth in theaters too. I think I saw all of them in theaters. And I saw, because at one point they started coming out in 3D. When they started making Resident Evil in 3D, it never really looked 3D to me, and it was just kind of like, whatever and stuff. But I got free tickets, so I really didn't care. And stuff. Like around my college years, and a little bit out of my college years, like the first couple of years, I was getting free movie tickets like crazy, man. So I was seeing everything, whether it was good or bad. I just didn't care. And I kept getting like, the IMAX stuff and the 3D stuff. And when I kept watching it in 3D, I'm all like, well, where the 3D stuff at? And then they'll have like one 3D scene. Now you really don't see 3D movies. And I got so sick and tired of it, I took the 3D glasses off. And if you ever try to watch a 3D movie without 3D glasses, boy, it is blurry. And so, yeah. But this is what got me into zombies. If it wasn't for Resident Evil, I probably never would have watched The Walking Dead and stuff, or Zomboat, or any of those other ones, or like Freakish. So that's a good thing for that. But I totally understand why people hate these movies. Like I said before, a lot of them just are not good and everything. And they don't really follow the video games that much. They have elements of there, but they do their own thing. When Paul W.S. Anderson made the first movie, for some bizarre reason, he made it into Alice in Wonderland. So basically, you have all these characters that act, not necessarily act like people from Alice in Wonderland, but they have like somewhat characteristics and somewhat of the plot of people from Alice in Wonderland. Like there's this one dude who's always looking at his watch and stuff. That's from like Alice in Wonderland. Falling down the rabbit hole, Red Queen, and then on the third movie they introduced the White Queen, and and that's the weird concept. It worked, but it's a weird, stupid concept. And everything. I remember the zombies in here looked really good, except for one dude whose CGI face looked kind of weird. He was the one whose face was half missing and stuff. It just looked kind of strange. They do introduce the T virus, but when it comes to these movies, they only introduce the T virus. They never introduce none of the other ones, like the G virus. And when it came to what the T virus can do, like throughout the entire franchise, it was very confusing. First, it reanimates like dead cells. That's why the dead come back to life and everything. But then all of a sudden, it gives like Alice superpowers towards the end of the second movie. Then all of a sudden, like, it creates like giant monster people and stuff. But for the most part, the giant monster animals and bugs do not appear in the video game except for the dogs. The dogs look amazing when they're zombified. But then after a while, they kept modifying the virus, and it just got so confusing. Like I remember when Michelle Rodriguez came back for that one movie, I was all like, actually, no, wait, they did introduce another virus, Lamaga, I think it's called. That's what she injected into herself. And then this other dude who had like he was like a giant zombie monster with an axe. I'm all like, how is that possible? And why does his axe look so cartoonish, video game-ish? And it's like they kept trying to introduce elements into the from the video games to the movies, and then when they started doing that, it started not making no sense. They should have just kept to their formula, but if they were going to infuse the movies and the video games, they should have went with the way they did in the second movie. The second movie is very good. They have like Nemesis and everything, and but it is kind of weird how he just randomly walks around town like he does in the video games and stuff. So it's hard. It's hard because they have to find that balance. And I don't think they really ever truly did between that of video game and live action movie. From the video games, they introduced the mansion, but it is really no point because when you get into other movies, it's basically retcon. That's the real purpose of it. Basically, these movies just constantly retcon themselves, like Dr. Isaacs and everything, who they created for the movies. They named him after something Isaac. I forget Jason Isaacs, the actor. He was the voice of the first movie, the narration, and the doctor you see in one of the movies, but it's kind of like cloaked almost. You can't really see his face, and so like he was supposed to appear in the second, but never did. I think he started doing the Harry Potter movies after that, and so they introduced like Dr. Isaacs, and his whole purpose is completely retconned by the last movie. They literally tell you why they created the T virus in the second movie, but by the last movie, they completely retconned it. It's almost like they like, because like the Resident Evil movie fans, they didn't even care enough to keep it consistent for them. And it's like, what the world are you doing? And so, like, I don't know. It's like they're just idiots, man. Like, how do you retcon your own continuity? Like, it's literally been established. Basically, when you watch these movies, everything you hear, everything you see, just pretend like it's a dream sequence. You're dreaming, you wake up, something's completely different. That's basically how you have to watch these movies. And that's why I can't stand none of the last ones. But like I said before, this movie introduced me to that of Mila Jovovich. I had already seen Michelle Rodriguez in the Fast and Furious movie, and also Fight Girl or Girl Fight, whatever that movie's called. She's really good in that indie movie. It's really hard to find like on streaming. I remember listening to the commentary, like, Michelle Rodriguez, the reason why she jumped aboard this is because she's a huge, huge fan of the video game. How she feel about the movies, she's never expressed her feelings on that. Because like of course when she's doing the commentary, of course she has to praise, like the people, like because the director producer dude was right there and stuff, and so was Mila and everything. So she had to like say nice stuff about it. But how did she truly feel about it? That we don't know. If she's a hardcore fan of the video game, most likely one would assume she doesn't like the movies, but she wanted so badly to be in it, and she loved like what happens to her towards the end. She later came back for a later installment as two different completely characters and stuff. It was really weird and just kind of didn't really make all that much sense. I was really getting happy for that movie because they were bringing people back from the first movie, but it was just one of the weirdest movies ever. I can't remember which number that movie was. It might have been 6 or something like that. I remember that when it came to owning the DVD, she had to buy her own DVD and everything. They didn't even give her a copy of it. That's how these movie studios do. They make you buy your own merch, even if you star in the movie, making them money. It's complete crap, in my opinion. They should just give it away for free. I remember in the audio commentary, incident that happened with Mila and the guy who plays her husband, Spence. During the scene in the movie when she's supposed to hit him in the head with like the axe, she actually really hit him in the head with the prop axe. It cracked his skin and made him bleed. He was pissed off and furious. I was very shocked and surprised to hear Mila's reaction to it. It was not very pleasant. Basically, she just thought he was just a bit wimp and crying about nothing, and thought he should like toughen up. But like, dude, you cracked his face open. I think even Michelle might have commented on that, like, but you hit him and stuff, but it was like but Mila was just being like an arrogant butthead and everything about the whole situation. If somebody was to hit her, even though it was mistaken, she bled, you would be pissed too. However, Mila does have a bit of, from what I hear, like a temper, but she has gotten so much better since like the earlier years and stuff. Now, when like one of her stunt people got hurt or whatever, she, rushed to the hospital to make sure the person was okay. I think another person died on set. She's really changed since like the earlier days when she first started movies. Her attitude has probably toned down a little and everything. And at least I hope it has. Because seriously, you hit somebody in the head, even though it's mistaken, they bleed, you're gonna be pissed. Stuff like that. I remember that the Uber liquor in the movie was done practically. It looked amazing. It looks like a giant dog monster thing. The other liquors in the movie were CGI. A lot of people hate the way they look. I think they look pretty good, especially for that of 2002. They look a whole lot more better than the ones than the second movie. The one in the second movie was really done with CGI and they looked really terrible. But this is what's so weird. I listened to the commentary in the second movie and they said the liquors were 100% CGI in the second movie. So I'm now assuming that the first one that we saw in the first movie, was it like half and half CGI practically, I wonder? I know when it transformed, for the actual, though some shots were practical, but when it transformed, it was CGI. So I'm thinking maybe it was a hybrid, but I know the Uber one was all practical and stuff. That why it barely moved. Now, when you get into the other Resident Evil movies, their monsters move with the help of CGI and everything looks super fake. When the movies kept going further and further in the franchise, everything looked fake. The backgrounds looked fake. The movements of the people looked fake. The way they fought looked fake. The CGI looked fake. It was just CGI goopy goop. Now, one interesting thing about this franchise is that Mila designs all of her outfits for every movie. She is very good at fashion, creating these sci-fi punk type, superhero type costumes. Her fashion sense is a whole lot better than Kanye West. I still do not understand why people like his like clothing line and shoe line. They do not look good, in my opinion. They never have, and people just like him because of who he is. But let's get away from him right now, because he's a piece of crap. But yeah, I really like the outfits that she designed for those movies. They're very unique and everything. If she ever stops doing movies, because I know she sings also. I think she sung the end credits scene for Kiss of the Dragon. Kiss of the Dragon is an amazing movie with Jet Li. She sung the song at the very end of that movie. But if she ever stops, like, making movies, hopefully she'll go into like a clothing line or something. Now, her daughter did appear in one of the later movies because they keep changing the Red Queen. Because, of course, the actress kept getting older as the movies progressed and stuff. But her daughter, I forget how long these movies been. Her daughter is much older now and looks a lot more like her. I think her daughter was also in the Black Widow movie, I believe. And so, like, this movie deals with that of an underground facility known as the Hive. And the Hive is controlled by the Umbrella Corporation. The Umbrella Corporation is very, very, very mysterious. They operate out throughout the entire world, but in this movie, in Raccoon City, or Raccoon City, or Raccoon, however some people like to pronounce it, because a lot of people pronounce it different ways and stuff. And so we see people in the lab and something crazy is going on. Somebody's taking like the virus and the antivirus. And then you see them running through like the halls and you see them break the canister and stuff. And then, the Red Queen, she controls everything that's in the hive, and she killed the people in the elevator, and she killed everybody in the entire hive. Nobody knows why. A team is sent in to investigate. And then we get the scene of Mila, or Alice, I should say, waking up in the mansion. We get our first nude scene from Mila and everything. She's disoriented. She woke up in like the shower. She has no idea what's going on. She searching all throughout the house. It's dark. She opens up the dresser drawer and there are tons of guns in there. She's like, there's like a red dress outfit on the bed and stuff. So she puts that on, not knowing what's going on, and all of a sudden she's grabbed by a man named Matt. But then all of a sudden the commandos bust in. And it's the people who work for Umbrella Corporation. Their outfits have a anime type aesthetic to it. And so they take those two like captive and stuff. Well, not really captive, but they take them with them down to the hive. And so she has no idea what's going on because she has lost her memory. She has no idea literally who she is and stuff. And so throughout the entire franchise, really, she has no idea who she really is. And then so she's now just Alice, and she creates whatever memories she has from like fighting zombies and stuff. But like I said before, in the last movie, they retconned the crap out of her backstory, and I do not like that. The tie-in novel sounded so much better and stuff, but whatever. And so like there they meet Spence on like the train. The train goes down into the tunnels and it goes to the hive. The hive is literally completely underground and it looks like that of a mechanical beehive. And so she recognizes Spence kind of from like her memories and stuff. And so like he doesn't have any memories as well. Now Matt is pretending to be a Raccoon City cop. The commandos do not believe him. As they're down below searching to see what the world is going on, they're talking about how the Red Queen, like, killed everybody and all this other stuff. They tell Alice that she's a security guard agent who works in the hive but lives in the mansion as a cover. The mansion is completely a cover. It's fake. It's literally there to fool people. When you go down into the hive, you're underground, but you see like outside city lights and stuff, and during the daytime, and it's literally to make people believe that they're really on top in case they accidentally get there, and also to make people feel more at home. Michelle Rodriguez plays Rain. She is tough as nails and takes no crap, which is kind of like how all her characters are until she came back into one of the later movies, and she had to play the two different roles. One was nice, one was mean, and meaner than this Rain right here. One is the one in charge. I forget the name of the actor, but he's really good. He's been in a lot of stuff, from Arrow, from James Bond movies, to that Krypton show, to like all kinds of stuff, some girls, and he's been in everything. And so like, they're basically just trying to figure out what the heck happened. And next thing you know, as they're all getting split up, the laser lights start happening. It's a very amazing, cool scene where they go into a room to try to activate the Red Queen to see what the heck happened. And she activates a laser grid. The laser grid, the people, the commandos in there are getting their heads chopped off, their fingers chopped off, their torsos chopped off. And the one, he's doing some cool acrobatic moving, like, dude, this dude's awesome. Until she turns the one laser into a grid. He is sliced open. I hate seeing his body fall apart. It's so gross and nasty. Everybody's terrified. And so since they split up, the other group of people, Rain, the other guy she's with, and Matt, like, they start to see like zombies and stuff. And so then everybody starts to see zombies when they all like reconvene and they say, what all happened. They don't know where these zombies come from. They don't even know what a zombie is. They don't understand how monster people are about. When they start shooting and everything like that, they can't kill them. They're just popping back up because they're not shooting them in the head. And so they all get split up again. And then when they reconvene again, Rain tells like the dude who's always looking at his watch, he let them out. Like when he turned the power back on, it unlocked all the doors and like all those zombie people came out, and they wonder, well, who these monsters are. And they're like, look, they had lab coats on, they had security outfits on, they're umbrella employees that have been zombified and everything. They call them the infected. When Alice is wandering around by herself, she sees the security guard. He tries to attack her. She does some acrobatic and martial arts moves, and she has no idea how she did them. They're literally just flooding back in her head as her memories are slowly coming back. Then she gets attacked by the zombie dogs. It's amazing. When she reconvenes with the rest, Alice decides she's going to take initiative, and she's tired of pissing around and everything. She's going to activate the Red Queen. The others don't want her to do this because she's homicidal, but she doesn't care because she thinks the Red Queen will help them get out. And that's when we see the CGI figure of the Red Queen. She looks really cool for like sci-fi CGI look and everything. When the later movies progressed, they made they made the queens look more human looking. I don't like that feature. I like the feature of the queen looking more sci-fi-ish looking and stuff. Also, it makes no sense for the third movie and all the other movies to make her look more like a real girl because of the simple fact that their technology is limited by the third movie because the world has pretty much died and stuff. Anyways, so the queen gives them a route to how to get out, but she doesn't want to help them, but they force her to. They said they will turn her completely off and kill her hard drive and everything, her motherboard. So they're going in the sewer system, but they're attacked by zombies again. They're losing people left and right. They lose the dude who turned on the power, who's always looking at his watch. They already lost the other people and stuff. Rain has been bit several times. One thing that doesn't make no sense is Rain has been bit multiple times in the movies, but it takes her forever to turn into a zombie. And when everybody else turns into a zombie very quickly. And so when they get into the laboratory, both Alice and Spence's memories are flooding back immensely. Spence remembers that he's the one who caused all this. He's the one who broke the canister and unleashed the virus. It turns out that he is indeed in love with Alice, even though their marriage is a fake. She wanted out of the corporation. Matt, the guy who pretended to be a security guard, his sister was a mole inside the hive. They've been trying to bring down Umbrella Corporation and expose them for, like, you know, who they are. His sister is the one who died in the elevator and stuff. And so Alice was the contact of Matt's sister. And so at first he thought she betrayed him and stuff until it found out it was Spence. Spence overheard them talking about how they want to bring the corporation down. He figured, all right, he'll do it by unleashing the T virus and killing everybody and stuff. He had no idea folks would turn like into zombies and crap. Then he talks about how much this would be on the black market, very similar to that of the video games, because they're always trying to sell the viruses on the black market, and or at least in the CGI movie and stuff. And so, like, she doesn't want nothing to do with him no more. He gets attacked, but he's able to shoot his way out, and then he leaves them trapped in the room. And so, like, when the Red Queen comes back on, she tells them she has a surprise for him and everything. And they found out the Red Queen has been deceiving them. She's been trying to let them die, but she had no idea they'll make it that far. She tells them she'll give them the code to open the door so they can leave, because if they don't leave at a certain time, the double doors down in the mansion will close and they'll be trapped down there forever. And so she wants Rain dead because she's severely infected. They don't want to do that. They all like, the antivirus is right there with Spence. We can go get it. And she's like, nope, she ain't taking that risk and everything. She feels that if this virus gets out into the city, it will be cataclysmic. So she's going to kill everybody down there who's infected. That's why she killed everybody in the hive. So next thing you know, somebody fried her motherboards. It's the dude who's always looking at his watch. He actually survived and everything. He didn't take his own life. And so they all get out of there and they try to make it to where the train is. Spence is already there. He's injected himself with the antivirus. But there's a problem. The liquor has been roaming around the entire place. They had no idea. It attacks and kills him. When it fed on fresh DNA, it mutated into an Uber liquor. They're pissed at the queen because she didn't tell them about that. But she said, you know, she was saving it for them everything, so it could kill them. I love the twisted nature of, like, the queen. It's insane. But she's doing it for humanity. Like, the queen is not evil. She's trying to prevent a plague from happening on topside. So anyways, they get the antivirus. They see Spence. He turns into almost a zombified monster creature as he's transforming. That's when Alice hits him with the axe and hit the real actor and stuff. They're on the train and you assume everything's good. They're getting out of there. You're rooting for them until the Uber liquor comes to, like, attack them. Now, what's really crazy and insane is that Rain has been injected with the antivirus, but she still transforms into a zombie. So Matt has to shoot her. They have to fight the liquor. They knock it off the platform, off the train, and it burns and everything like that to death. But not before it killed the dude who's always checking his watch and everything. As they make it to topside towards the mansion and stuff, they're really, Alice is really upset. She's sad she lost all those people she just met for the first time, and that she worked for a company that is so evil. All of a sudden, Matt starts to transform. He was scratched by the liquor, and so you assume he's gonna turn into a liquor, right? But then all of a sudden, these men in like hazmat suits break in, and the first instinct is Alice is going to attack them, and she does. And so like she doesn't understand. Like I don't understand why she's attacking them for it. Like yeah, she doesn't trust Umbrella, but they're in hazmat suits. They're supposed to help, but she's attacking the crap out of them. They pin her like to the ground, and they get Matt. They say they want Matt in the Nemesis Project. I had no idea what the world that was when I first watched the movie. Then next thing you know, she wakes up in like a hospital, and her head is shaven on one side, and there are like tubes in her head. She's wearing like a little gown. When she falls to the ground, you can see her vajayjay and everything. And my friend made me pause that part too. So then she breaks out of there, and when she like, you can overhear Jason Isaac's voice and stuff like that, see like the military men and all this other crap. She breaks out and she goes out into the city. The city looks completely dead. It's deserted. There are like cars overturned on flames. There are papers flying around. There are newspapers saying the dead are taking over like the city and stuff. She grabs a shotgun out the police car, and she's ready to go to business because she knows exactly what she's about to in store and everything. So it ends on that amazing cliffhanger. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait till the next movie. Like, it had me on the edge of my seat, and my other friend as well. After that, we decided to go on the internet and look up these people. We assumed she was Jill Valentine until Jill Valentine showed up and stuff. And, that's how these movies always ended at first. They always ended on these movies always end on a cliffhanger, but the best cliffhanger is that of the first one and the second movie. The third one, not so much. I did not like that clip. They should have ended these movies with the third movie. It's called Resident Evil Extinction for a reason. It was supposed to be the last one until these movies keep making past their budget. And so with that came the next movie installment in the next and the next. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. It's great. It's like suspenseful. It's like horror. There's cool zombies. There's action, and it's just like, I think it's really cool. They took a concept, they created their own thing for their own movie franchise. Yeah, it pissed off the fan base, and rightfully so. But for people like myself who is like an outsider looking in, I was along for the ride until they screwed things up at the ending of the third movie, and then everything after that was just complete garbage. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.